So we've finished surface area now. We've done all of our surface area lessons and we've moved on to volume now. Last lesson we did volume of a prism, volume of lots of different prisms actually. But I did notice that we struggled a little bit with surface area of a cylinder. So since we're doing volume of a cylinder today, I thought I might combine some surface area problems with volume problems. So we're only looking at cylinders today, but we're going to do a little bit of recap on surface area of a cylinder as well, because I think quite a few of us had some issues with that lesson. All right, so this question asks us to find the surface area and volume of the following cylinder to 2 decimal places. So there's 2 things we need to do. The first one is find the surface area. And the surface area of a cylinder, we've got 2 different types of shapes on the cylinder. We've got our circular faces here, and there's 2 of them. So we need to find the area of both circular faces, so that's 2 pi r squared, because pi r squared gives us the area of a circle. And since there's 2 of them, we just need to multiply by 2. And we've got another surface as well, and that's this curved surface here. So we can only see half of it, but it wraps all the way around the cylinder. So when we unravel this curved surface, if we were to look at the net of the cylinder, we would see that the curved surface is actually just a rectangle. It's just been folded up or bent into the shape of a circle. So a rectangle's area is given by length times breadth, and for this rectangle, the 2 dimensions are going to be this height here, which is the height of the cylinder, and the other dimension, if we were to unwrap this, it's actually just going to be the circumference of the circle here. It's actually just going to be this length here, but it's a curved length at the moment. So if we can find the circumference of the circle, we just need to multiply it by the other dimension of the rectangle, which is this height here. So it's just going to be 2 pi r, which is the circumference of the circle, times the height of the cylinder. That's the 2 dimensions of the rectangle. It's kind of like this is the length and this is the breadth of the rectangle if you were to unravel it. You might want to have a look at the surface area of a cylinder lesson on the website. You can see there's a nice GIF image, and you can see the cylinder unraveling, and you can see the formula as well. So that's our formula for surface area of a cylinder. Let's plug in some of our values now. Oh, I might just rub this out so we can see that we've got 2 meters there. Okay, so we've got surface area is equal to 2 pi r. Now r is the radius of our circle, so you can see that that's 2, plus 2 pi r again, so 2 again, times h, and the h is the height of the cylinder here, which is 2 as well, so we need to multiply by 2 as well. And then we can just put all this into a calculator, and we need to round off to 2 decimal places as well. So we've got 2 times pi times 2 squared plus 2 times pi times 2 times 2. So we end up with a surface area of 50.27, and it was given to us in meters. The lengths were given to us in meters. So our surface area is going to be in square meters. So that's the surface area. Now for volume, just move down a little bit. If we wanted to calculate the volume of a cylinder, well, we did volume of prisms last lesson, and that was quite easy. That was just the base times the height, or the base times the length of the prism. So our base in this case, we can look at this as though it's a prism. It's a circular prism. Our base is our circle. That's our 2-dimensional base. So we can find the area of our base, and then you can see that it's a prism. It's been extended in the 3rd dimension there. It's been extended into a 3rd dimension. making it a solid. If we just had this base on top, it would be a two-dimensional shape. And then we've extended it down by this height of 2 meters. So it's kind of like a circular prism. So we're going to use the exact same method that we used with finding the volume of prisms to find the volume of a cylinder. And it's actually a much more simple formula than the surface area formula. So our volume, again, is just going to be the area of the base times the height. Some people like to call it the length. It can be the height, it can be the length. Basically, you have to make sure that it's the distance here that's perpendicular to your base. So this is our base here. You can see that it's making a right angle with our height or our length. So this is our formula. V equals area of the base. Now, how do we find the area of the base? Well, if the base is just this circle here, we just need to find the area of the circle, which is pi r squared, times the height. So how far is it being extended down? That base is being extended down by 2 meters. And we can just call this, well, I guess we can call it h because we haven't put our numerical values in yet. So now we'll put our numerical values in. We've got pi, r is 2, our radius was 2, squared, times our height, which is 2 here. But don't get confused, they're different dimensions, just because they're the same number. Okay, so we can just pop that into our calculator. Much more simple than the surface area formula. Pi times 2 squared times 2 again. And we end up with a volume of 25.13 if we round to 2 decimal places. And because we're now talking about volume, it's going to be in cubic meters. All right, let's move on to example 2. Example 2, it says find the surface area and volume of the following cylinder to 1 decimal place. So it's basically the exact same as the previous question. This time we're rounding to 1 decimal place. All right, so surface area, we already know the formula for surface area. We need to find the area of the 2 circles on either end of the cylinder, so that's 2 pi r squared, plus we need to add on the area of the curved rectangular face, so the curved face. And we know that the dimensions of that rectangle are just the circumference of the circle, 2 pi r, times the height of the cylinder. And it might be a little difficult to visualize, but if you were to unravel that cylinder, you would see that the dimensions of the rectangle actually end up being this circumference here times this height here. Imagine it like a piece of paper unfolding. Okay, so this is our formula. It's a good idea to just memorize the formula so you don't have to start folding up your exam paper to visualize it. So 2 pi r squared, 2 pi, our radius, well, we've got to be careful here. They haven't actually given us our radius of the cylinder. They've given us our diameter here. So the radius is just going to be half of the diameter. It's just going to be from the center to one edge. So half of 4 is 2. Our radius must be 2. Radius again, 2. And multiplying by the height of the cylinder. Well, our cylinder is lying on its side, so the height is this 7 meter length here. Okay, so we just pop all of those numbers into the calculator. 2 times pi times 2 squared plus 2 times pi times 2 times 7. And we end up with a surface area of 113.10. Oh, we're rounding to 1 decimal place, 0.1. And our unit of measurement was meters for length. So now that we're talking about area, we're talking about a 2-dimensional net. It's going to be square meters. And we still need to find the volume. There were 2 parts to this question. So volume, we can remember it's much more simple. we just treat the cylinder as though it were a prism. All we need to do is find the area of the base. We can say that either circle here is the base. So we find the area of the base here, and then we just multiply it by the third dimension that it's been extended in. So area of that base is pi r squared for a circle, times the length or the height of the prism. And our circle is pi 2 squared, because our radius is 2, remember, and our height is 7. So that's how we find the volume. Pop that into a calculator. Pi times 2 squared times 7. So we have a volume of 88.0 cubic meters. That's rounded to 1 decimal place.